I'm going to fast forward here. This is Bobby May. Now, Bobby May was not his real name. His real name was Ludwig Meyer. But he wanted something a little simpler for people to remember, so he went by Bobby May. And there's a couple YouTube videos of Bobby out there to see his act. But Bobby was incredible, and he was also an innovator, because Bobby was the first juggler to ever do an electric juggling trick. He went to a company, oh, that's not Bobby, that's somebody else. He went to a company, and he had them build a ball that had all these wires on it and batteries built into it. And then he had a hoop constructed of wires and batteries and lights. And he would do this trick where the lights would go out and these things would be glowing, that he would be bouncing and juggling. He was the very first person to do glow juggling props. Just like Trixie, he also did his whole act on roller skates. He could do everything he did on roller skates, flying around an arena while doing all of his tricks. And I want to give you a quick life lesson, gang. Bobby May, one of his most famous tricks was using a cigarette. He would throw a cigarette behind his back and catch it in his mouth, and then throw a match behind his back, catch the match in his mouth, tilt his head sideways, and light the cigarette. It was a pretty incredible trick. But Bobby May passed away from lung cancer, from smoking. So please don't work on any tricks with smoking. Don't smoke. It's horrible for your health. And it cost us an amazing juggler named Bobby May. Moving on. Oh, this man, Foodie, up here, Foodie. Foodie is really important to the history of juggling. When juggling started, and here's a picture of Bobby May. See Bobby May in this picture here? His clubs are made of solid wood, and they would be several pounds each. It would be very common for jugglers to actually break their fingers while working with their juggling clubs because they were so heavy. Well, Foodie came along, and Foodie was the first person to figure out how to make a lightweight juggling club. And he started working with very thin bamboo, and he came up with a club that was much lighter, much faster, and totally revolutionized how we were able to do tricks and to keep our hands safe during shows. Big, big inventor to the art form. This guy down here in the corner, juggling torches, that's Albert Lucas. And he's still around today. He has a lot of videos up. Albert Lucas, his name's right there. If you win the Juggling World Championships, you get the Lucas Cup. The trophy for the Juggling World Championships is named after Albert Lucas. And I got to meet Albert Lucas in 2002 when my friend and I won the Juggling World Championships in the team division. I was backstage and I was so nervous about going out and I was panicking. And this guy tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Are you okay?" And I turned around and it was Albert Lucas. And I talked with him for a few minutes. He was so cool. He got me calmed down and ready to go on stage. Super nice guy. And yeah, they named the World Juggling Trophy after him. Totally awesome. I'm going to keep going here. I could talk about these guys forever. This is Sergey Ignatov. There are a lot of videos, YouTube videos of Sergey Ignatov. He was the very first juggler to do 11 rings on stage. Nobody else was doing that. And he would have this kind of, good counting, Lucian. You can't really see it well in this picture, but he had these like cowboy gunslingers on his hips that he would hold extra rings in. So he would throw 9 and he would grab 2 more from his side and throw them up into the pattern. And here he is training in the Moscow State Circus School with his coach. And the other thing he did, he used to recommend that all jugglers brush their teeth with different hands every day. So one day you brush with your right hand, one day you brush with your left hand. So you might want to work on that while you're stuck at home. But he used to claim that that helped his hands to be even so that he could juggle better. This is Evgeny Bilyauer. There's some videos of him on YouTube. Fun name to say, Evgeny Bilyauer. One of Evgeny's most famous tricks is he would juggle 5 clubs, throw 3 of them up in the air, do a forward roll, pop up, catch the 3 falling back to earth, and continue juggling the 5 clubs. He was just incredible. The tricks he used to come up with and do. Evgeny Bilyauer. This guy over here, this is Gregory Popovich. Gregory Popovich, his name's right there. And Gregory used to do his entire act standing on a ladder. Now, this ladder is not connected to anything. It's just like stilts. He's got to move his legs and walk that ladder back and forth to keep it upright. And there he is doing 7 rings on top of that ladder. Now, Gregory eventually retired from juggling, but he's still performing, and he's now performing with kitty cats. He has a trained kitty cat act that he still tours the world with. Even though he's not juggling anymore, he has his kitties out with him. It's a lot of cool stuff. Check him out. Ava Vida. Oh, my goodness. What an incredible juggler. Lots of videos of her up there. She used to juggle umbrellas. Next time you get a chance, open up an umbrella and try to flip it. See how weird it floats through the air. And she did her whole act with umbrella juggling. Unbelievable talent and really innovative. Nobody had done that before her. Let me go. This is Grand Picasso. And he performs, as does his son. Get his name in there, Lucian. He performs Grand Picasso, and so does his son. And they have a really unique act because their juggling act is ping pong balls. He is juggling ping pong balls here by spitting them out of his mouth and catching them back in his mouth over and over again. Ping pong ball juggling. He and his son both performed. This is Dick Franco. Dick Franco was one of the very first jugglers to do chainsaws. And if you go onto YouTube, there's a lot of videos of Dick Franco doing his chainsaws. All right, now bring the camera in. Ready? Ready? Look at me. Look at me. Ready? Look at me. Bring the camera. Okay. Secret time. Dick Franco cheated. His chainsaws weren't real. They were just made of plastic, and they would put dry ice in them so it looked like smoke was coming out. And then the sound guy at the theater would play music that sounded like chainsaws running and grinding. They weren't real. They were never really running. He was never in any danger. But he was the first person to figure out chainsaw juggling, Dick Franco. This is Michael Motion. He figured out the glass ball rolling over your hands and in different stacks. There are a lot of videos of Michael Motion up online. He is a very creative juggler. He does very little standard juggling. Most of his stuff is his own inventions. Natalie Enterline, she was a baton and hat juggler. And there's some videos of her up as well, if you want to check her out. She combined a lot of baton moves with a lot of dance moves. Really creative, original, well-flowing, moving act. These three gals are so important right here. These three Chinese ladies. They were the first people to ever do 3 Diablos at the same time. And what would happen is this girl would get hers spinning, this girl would get hers spinning, then one in the center would get hers spinning, and then these two would throw their Diablos into her. And she was the very first person that could ever keep 3 Diablos moving around inside the string. All right, I've been going way too long. I got one last juggler to show you, and this guy's my personal hero. This is Francis Brunn. Francis Brunn grew up in Austria, and his parents, yep, get it, that's his old spelling of his name. He eventually changed it to Francis. He grew up in Austria, and his parents were acrobats, but he decided he wanted to be a juggler. And the other thing he decided was that he was not going to copy anybody else's tricks. He was going to do all of his own original juggling tricks. I'm going to stand this up to get the glare off. So every trick he did in his show, he invented. And there he is, Francis Brunn. And for a while, he performed with his sister, Lottie Brunn. And Lottie was considered to be the world's fastest female juggler. And she learned, there's the Francis and Lottie. Both of them have a ton of videos up online. She learned all of her tricks from Francis. He was amazing. But Francis invented this trick called the Brunn finish. I'm going to go find it here. A ton of pictures about Francis. He's very important to our art. There it is, the Brunn finish. And what he would do is he would spin a ball in this hand, spin 2 rings on his arm, spin 2 rings on his legs, spin a ball and a stick he held in his teeth, spin a ball and a stick he balanced on his head, and juggle 3 rings all at the same time. But that wasn't his best trick. This over here, this was his best trick. He would start up here. He'd have 2 balls in this hand. Now, he just put those there so he wouldn't be able to use that hand. They would balance a ball on his head, and he would start this ball spinning on his finger. Then he would lean forward. The ball would fall off his head. He'd kick it with his foot, completely blind. It would fly over his head and land on top of the ball spinning on his finger. This trick was so difficult that today, if you say to any juggler, "Can you do the impossible trick?" they'll know you're talking about this trick by Francis Brunn. He's by far my favorite juggler. Hey, this has been a very long video, but thanks for learning about some of my favorite jugglers. In your spare time, when you got nothing to do and you're sitting around, YouTube all of these jugglers. Check out their acts. They're absolutely incredible to this art form. And thanks so much for spending some time with me, Eshelman. Boy, we miss you guys. We hope to see you soon.